sit.
Welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast, where we discuss Dynasty strategy, rankings, and all things NFL. So get ready to geek out on fantasy football with your host, Rich Dotson.
And welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Rich Dotson. He's Matt O'Hara.
Hey.
Talking a little pee-pee today.
Pee-pee.
Yeah, just a little patience or panic.
Patience, panic. I think in light of the fact that Garrett is not here, I am going to add a column.
Okay.
Patience, panic, or pussyfoot.
Ooh, okay. All right, a little pussyfooting around, huh?
Yeah. It's kind of like if you don't know what to do with a guy, you're pussyfooting around.
Yes. Everybody has those players. Like, how do I do this guy?
What the hell do I do with him?
Do I cut him?
And we'll talk about it because there is a guy in here that I'm a little bit of a pussyfooter on.
Obviously, that's why you had a column, so you had to let me know. I'm excited to find out who it is. So who's the first fella that we're talking about?
Yeah, let's get into it. The first guy that we are going to mention and talk about and figure out, whether it's patience or panic or pussyfoot, is Travis Etienne. And last year, in his overall rank was running back 35. I'm guessing these are all PPR ranks. And right now, he is running back 38 off the board. His current ADP is running back 30. So do you right now, if you have him or whatnot, do you feel good about that ADP? Where are you at, Rich?
Capital P.
Yes.
Capital A.
Yes.
Capital T, capital I, capital E, capital N, capital C, capital E.
Patience?
This is what Guns N' Roses wrote.
Need a little patience.
For me, I think Travis Etienne has fallen into the category of people who are just like done, right? Like, it's 1 year. It's just amazing what like a year can do to a dynasty value, right? And how it can plummet and how it's very subjective and how everybody's a little different for every player, right? Like one player can withstand, again, people are like, well, Christian McCaffrey, he's injury prone. But we just talked about last show, like T. Higgins. Nobody wants to call it T. Higgins injury prone.
Well,
he's hurt all the time.
He is hurt all the time.
And Travis Etienne, I mean, just in 2023, so just one fantasy season removed outside of last year, he was running back 3 overall, where he averaged 16.6 points per game. He's 26 years old, former first round pick, who they picked up their fifth. Like they had an out, right? They picked up his 5th year option. And, the glowing reviews of Liam Cohen, again, I know, man, you don't take coach talk in June and May to heart.
No, you can't.
Mostly in June.
Especially June. This is the best time of year for everyone.
But, I mean, Liam did really go out of his way to talk up, Travis Etienne. And he's like, I really love how Travis, is utilized in a passing game and, what he can do there and his explosiveness. And, there's so many different creative ways I could see getting him the ball and making him a viable option.
I had not heard that. So that's actually pretty good news.
Yeah. I don't know if a lot of people have heard it. Yeah. And I read it. I was already in and kind of man, Travis Etienne probably offers some, because his ADP,
sure.
We talk about a buy today is a sell tomorrow just because their value changes. Last year, Terry McLaurin was a huge buy for us. Now we lean towards he's a sell.
Right.
Travis Etienne, me for a contender, I'm buying. Again, falls in a category of, man, late second round, Bayshall 2 and on the board. Hey, I'll give you Bayshall give me Travis Etienne.
Sure. Because
I want to live in that window, of now. And I think there's a good chance. Tank Bigsby doesn't scare me. 2 and speed scares me a little bit.
Yeah.
And listen.
Tank I don't even think Tank's a great fit for this offense.
No.
I think he's going to be there because he's there and he's viable.
I think 2 could be the number 2 running back in this offense.
But yeah, I think he could very easily be passed on this depth chart.
And most people, number 2 will be number 1. Cool. If you want to believe that, that's fine. And I'm not arguing.
2 was
the point.
Fourth round, I
think he was 4th round.
In my brain, he was
that 4th round run.
He was real early for 4th round, right?
He was a part of that big run. For me, I'm not sitting here saying Travis Etienne is going to be a running back 1. But I think there's a pretty good chance that Travis Etienne's a top 24 fantasy football running back in 2025. He's 26 years old, and his value has plummeted to running back, what?
30. He's 30 in ADP. He is obviously last year he finished 35th, and right now he sits in our rankings, I think, at 38.
Okay. And For me, I think he's a player that I'm going to have patience with. I'm not giving him away. I'm actually buying Travis Etienne for the right price. He's a value to me. He's one of these few running backs that, to me, is the starting running back on their team that people just want to get off their roster because they're scared of everybody else. And I'm just honestly not as scared of everybody else as everyone else is.
Right.
So for me, with the opportunity of Travis Etienne living in that range of that manufactured touches to be the guy in this offense, for Liam Cohen to come here and talk him up and say, hey, listen, I like his explosiveness. I like what he could do with the football in his hands. It's my job to find ways to get him the football so he could be at his peak. The fact that his contract is guaranteed this year, which isn't a crazy amount of money, but still guaranteed nonetheless. They bring in another weapon, Travis Hunter, to help that offense as well. I think there's another year of Brenton Strange taking a step forward. I think there's a good opportunity for Travis Etienne here to produce. So instead of for patience or panic, to me, I'm gonna say patience to the point of where I'm buying. And I'm going to go ahead and ride this out until the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's obviously a lot of panic surrounding Travis Etienne. And I do think if I had him, I would be worried still. But I'm starting to feel better the way that, but it is coach speak and it is June. So it's hard to say to me that's enough to pass the eyeball test for me.
What
I mean?
But the point is, at the same time, though, is ADP, if he's on your roster, I have a couple of shares too. 3 months ago, for example, even before the draft happened, or say if you'd rather take Bayshalt too, and did you go into dude, Travis Etienne, I feel real good about him as my running back too? No, you don't. But if he's my running back 3, it's okay, I like the upside there, right?
Yeah,
am I comfortable?
Yeah.
No.
As long as you're not relying on him to be one of your starting running backs,
patience.
It's okay. And if he was one of my top guys, I'd be panicked.
Oh, I would be panicked.
Yeah, because they're actively going out there and getting running backs. You know what I mean? It wasn't just one. They went and got LaQuinn Allen as well. Both guys catch passes really well also.
300%.
So that's, I think, the counter argument and why you'd be panicked, and I am. I think that's where I would lie with him.
I think, though, it's just kind of looking at it for what it is with Travis Etienne is nobody's giving you anything for him. So if you want to get him off your roster, you pretty much have to give him away.
No, I agree. I agree.
The
I
category
agree.
is patience or panic.
Don't panic and get rid of him for nothing.
Yes, I'm just
okay.
He's a perfect patience player. I'm riding him out.
In that respect,
panic to me is Isaiah Pacheco. Right, last show we talked about Isaiah Pacheco.
Get him off.
I'm panicking. I need to get any value I can because I feel like it's going to go to a zero value.
And he was on here, by the way. But we're just going to skip him because we talked about him enough before, and now you've addressed him again.
With Etienne, it's more of okay, I'm not getting anything for return. I'm just going to go ahead and have patience with this and see where it takes.
And that's a good point because, like I had mentioned, there has been so much panic around him, and I'm probably still there, but the best course of action if you've got him is patience.
Yes.
Because there will be a time when running backs, and it happens all the time, even if he gets passed on the depth chart, he's still on the roster. He's still on he's going to make a roster somewhere. If they were to love these 3 guys that they got, including Tank Bigsby, more than Travis Etienne, and they moved him, he would still find a spot, and eventually there's going to be an injury. There's always injuries at the position. Yeah. There's going to be a time when Travis Etienne has more value than he has right now. So yes, you have convinced me that even though I am panicking on the inside, you got to be like a duck on the pond, right? Mm-hmm. You got to hold that stuff in and let those feet go crazy underneath the water, and you got to be patient with a player like Travis Etienne and kind of let that value reestablish at some point. It's going to happen.
And if Jacksonville kind of falls out of it, late in the season, he could be somebody that gets traded to a contender, right? Like you said.
Well, there's trade speculation, I think, already about Etienne, right?
But you mentioned multiple running backs will go down and be out for the year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
there'll be a point when he has more value than he's gotten now. It might not be what it was, right? 6 months ago or a year and a half ago. but it'll be more than it is now.
And some may could view Travis Etienne as an asset and say Jacksonville eat some of the money, or they here's the rest. We only owe him $3 million and go ahead and trade for him. So panic for Travis Etienne for me.
Patience.
No panic. All
right. So the next candidate here, Chris Olave. Right now, last year he was wide receiver 94. In our ranks, he's sitting there at 54. And as far as ADP goes, wide receiver 27. So this thing just keeps going up. Where do you see him? Is it patience? Is it panic? Chris Olave, to me, if you want me to start this one off, since you just did so much talking, I'm actually I've come full circle with Olave, and I think there's not much else there. I don't have full faith that Chris Olave is going to be playing a full season or anything like that, but he's the best probably on that roster. It's just him and Raheed Shaheed. So those two guys are going to eat. I think both those guys are great. So as long as he stays healthy, I think he's going to be a valuable player. I think we know what we have at this point with Chris Olave. I don't think there's a reason to freak out. The situation there sucks. I'm not going to even go down the rabbit hole that is their cap and how the hell they get out of that.
For the 1,000th time.
Right. So, Olave, I'm totally fine with. I'm not going to go out and get actively search for Olave shares. But if I have him, I'm not offloading him at this point. I think the quarterback situation is a mess, but one of those guys, I think Tyler Shuck most likely is going to rise to the top and be the guy to kind of at least hold it down this year. After that, do they go back to the well? Who knows? I think this could.
That's how high they're picking.
Yeah, right. I think very easily this could be a team that goes back to the draft well next year for the quarterback. That's in the first round. You know what I mean? That could definitely happen.
Well, it all depends on how good Tyler Shuck looks. And good thing he's ready to go right away because he's a grandfather.
Right. So either way, it's a win-win. If Shuck works out, great. If not, he was a second-round draft pick. You just kind of move on at the quarterback position.
Yeah, it sucks because I like Olave as a player. You look at him last year, he only played essentially played till week 5, but he had negative points in week 5 because he got hit, lost the ball, -5, was banged up week 1, didn't play anything. So he didn't really.
It was a concussion again,
yes.
right?
Yeah, he missed an entire season.
Yeah.
After that, from week 5 on.
So that's really the only reason to panic, right?
And it's why I kind of am panicking.
Okay.
With Olave, when you look at what he did last year, weeks 2 through 4. Which isn't a lot. It's a 3-week window, right? But that's all he had a chance to really perform at a high level at. He was wide receiver 12 overall on a points per game basis. And what he did, he scored, what did he do? 12.8, 20.6, 16.7. Why? Because he's a really good, solid receiver. He's like a Terry McLaurin, right? Like a really good route runner, sure hands, can get open. If he has a real good quarterback, he's going to produce at a high level.
He's not, though. He's not Terry McLaurin. I think Terry McLaurin is much stronger, tougher player. Olave's a little bit more finesse to his game. I think they're different players. Okay. I just want that to be. I don't want that to make it.
Terry's much. Yeah, you're right. He's much tougher play. He's Olave's a really good route runner.
Correct. They win differently. It's just he's smoother.
He's more Devontae Smith.
Sure. Yeah.
I guess, but Devontae Smith is better.
Yep.
But Olave.
Yep.
But Olave is a really good receiver.
He is.
But I'm panicking because his concussions have gotten to the point where they're so bad. If he gets a concussion, he's pretty much out for the year. And those only get worse. Kind of like him and Tua are in the same boat.
Yeah.
To the point where, like I said, I moved Olave plus Ayuk last week for Drake London. Mm-hmm. And I feel really good about that.
I would feel great about, getting rid of two guys that there are question marks around and then getting the guy that's kind of like the alpha. I think so
it's how I view Olave. He's so risky. He's so kind of like the Tua, but obviously super flex, you have a little bit less likely to get concussion than Olave. Olave could just kind of like Cedric Tillman. Remember Cedric Tillman's hit last year?
Yes.
He landed on his face. It didn't even look bad. He's got concussion. Oh, whatever. He missed the rest of the year.
Right. No, you could get it just going up for a ball and coming down wrong.
100%.
Yep.
So for me, Olave fits in the category of I am panicking and I would rather just get out and what looks like an overpaid ace and same thing. I can take Olave and Ayuk. Two players I'm really questioning about. I'm panicked a little bit about Ayuk too. Same kind of like T. It's never even been a wide receiver 1. With a much more murky receiver situation around him. What can I give with Olave? Because you got to find somebody who likes Olave. And there's a lot of people that still do.
Definitely.
And that's the thing. I like Olave too. I'm just too worried about the concussions where like, okay, I'm willing to give Olave that youth, the draft capital, his points per game on a healthy basis, and something really sexy on top to get something I feel way more comfortable and safe with and just be happy to feel comfortable enough where like, hey, when I get come week 15, that guy's going to be there for me. Come week 16, the playoffs, he's going to be there for me. Because I don't feel that with Olave whatsoever. And for where he's going, where you got to draft him in his value, like he's got to be there, right? The best ability is availability. And that's what he needs. And I don't believe in him in that. So if I could take Olave and throw an Ayuk on top, throw a first on top, okay, I'll give you, you're rebuilding? I'll give you Olave and a first for London. I'll give you Olave and a first. I'll give you Olave for Rashee Rice. I'll give you Olave and a first for Jackson Smith. You know, like, how do I upgrade that position and use his youth and still that upside to give me a little bit more security?
Let me ask you this, because wide receiver 27 doesn't scream like tons of value to me.
No.
And that's kind of why I was doing like patient type of with this, because is there a world where Olave plays 5 games and looks fantastic, and that's the time?
It is. It's a gamble
to get out.
And I'm with you. 27 is nothing crazy. That's where I'm going. Here's wide receiver 27 and this plus on top. That's because that's where the value.
But
is.
if he hits a 5-game streak where he's hot, that wide receiver 27 goes to wide receiver 12 in some people's minds. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden, he's the hotness.
He is, but he's still teetered on 0 value.
Yeah,
he's what.
So that's what you're worried. I mean,
he's one concussion away from 0 value.
For me, I'm a guy that I always liked Olave, Ohio State guy, all that. When he came in, I was kind of like, I don't know if this is gonna be the best. I see some things where I'm not sure that everything that I don't want to say it. I thought he was a little bit soft. I'm just gonna say it.
His brain,
and it hasn't been that. You know, he hasn't been soft from a physical standpoint. It has been concussions. That's why I didn't want to say it. Like I thought he was going to be soft, and I don't want it to sound like he is soft because you can't control your brain.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with him.
Right. So the fact that he can't finish a season and play a whole 17 games, it has nothing to do with him being soft. So I didn't want to say it. But I've kind of come back around to, hey, right now might not be the time. That's why I want patience for this guy.
I get it.
For a guy that I didn't have super high expectations for, he is a really good player when he's playing.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you give him a stretch and then unload him, you're doing yourself the best service by doing that.
And you're right. I wasn't looking to give Olave away.
Yeah.
But I was looking to move on.
But you're panicking. You are. You're like, get rid of. I'll take that wide receiver 27 value and just slap something on top of it to get to wide receiver 12, where you might just be able to make a lateral. You know what I mean, like a lateral move at some point, and get that same thing without having to slap anything on top.
With Olave, I wasn't worth the risk.
Yeah.
And at the same time, for a player I think. Listen, I'm all in on Drake London.
Yeah.
So I think. Drake London by the time Olave was healthy, Drake London would have been untouchable.
Sure.
Is a better way to say it.
No, I think
I think Drake London's closer to producing at Justin Jefferson level than me waiting a couple weeks. Now when I move Olave, I'm closer to getting somebody who's a completely different player altogether. My situation is a little different. I got a player that I believe is a top 5
if you can get that
Dynasty receiver.
Because I think even if Olave's at his best, you would still make that move.
Yeah, 100%. And me giving up Ayuk means nothing to me. Like so it really doesn't. So I'm panicked with Olave to the point of like, if I can move him for a deal like that, like a deal that's like benefits my team significantly, yes. I think Olave is a good package player to build stuff around him that is eye candy to get that one good player.
If you're casting a line though, and you're not getting the nibbles that you want, wait.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that's the best prudent kind of be patient.
He falls into both categories. If somebody's out on Olave because like, dude, no, he's like me. He's one concussion away. It's all he's worth to me. I'm holding. I'm not.
I mean, it sounds like we're pussyfooting around with this.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. He is a kind of a pussyfooting around. But you know what I'm saying? Like it's like Because he's still young enough, or like the teams that don't have depth,
Yep.
if you could give them Olave plus some depth, he's such a shiny, like he still holds really good value that I can go ahead and get like, okay, I'm giving up this one good player, but dude, I need a lot of help on my team. So I got Olave, I got a second, I got this receiver.
If the whale's out there and the bait is Olave plus a little bit, then cast that line, reel it in. That's awesome. If not, you're not getting any nibbles, then reel them back in and wait for later.
Agreed.
I think that is the best prudent kind of fishing analogy. I don't even really fish.
I'm still panicked.
but you're still worried. All right. So the next one was Isaiah Pacheco. We're going to move on from him. We were both kind of panicked by him. I think we made that pretty clear last show. Trey Benson is our next candidate here for patience or panic. And last year he was running back 70 overall.
Irrelevant.
Yeah.
No, don't mention numbers with Trey Benson.
The rank is 67.
Didn't look great when he even played.
The rank was 67, and right now he's currently going off the board at running back 34. That is the most relevant.
Was he a third-round pick? Or
I believe he was third. I can look it up while you talk if you want.
So, for me, clearly Trey Benson is a patience to the highest degree. Mm-hmm. James Conner was going to be 31 years old, I think. James Conner, he's at least 30.
I'm looking up something else, so I can't look up that.
They invested good draft capital in Trey Benson, I think, which I thought was a third-round pick. Out of all those running backs came out, I really did enjoy Trey Benson's tape. Like, I had him pretty close, and as same class as Bucky Irvin. And I had Trey Benson as like 1B to Jonathan Brooks as my running back 1 in that class. I really liked his size. I liked his speed. I liked his hand-catching ability. I liked where he went with James Conner going. Obviously, James Conner got extended since then, but I liked his opportunity going into it.
66th pick in the third round.
Okay. So, for me, nobody's giving you anything for Trey Benson. So, same thing. Like, he's a great patience player. I want to see him get the opportunity to be the guy. That's what I want to see. And it's going to either take a James Conner injury or it's going to take another year.
James Conner is 30 currently.
Okay, so he'll be 31 next year. Yeah. So all it takes is, you would hope with what they have invested in him, that I'm sure that there's an out in James Conner's contract probably after this year, if I had to assume. I
can look that up as well.
Okay, keep looking. You think they'd want to, in year 2, sprinkle in Trey Benson to the point of seeing what they finally have in him in this year.
Yeah.
And if they have anything, then there's a path for him to be the guy. So the only thing you base this off of was okay, his college tape, which I enjoyed, and his draft capital. Because there's nothing he did last year to make you say, don't panic, Rich, because he didn't do anything. So if you're doing off of last year, then you want to panic, go ahead. But same thing. I'm not worried about Trey Benson because I drafted him probably pretty high in the second round of my rookie draft. And there's still a path for him to be the guy there. And he was one of the youngest running backs coming in, I believe, as well. I believe he was only, if he wasn't 20 when he got drafted, he just turned 21. So he's a very young running back.
Trey Benson currently is 23, so he was at least 22.
So who was I thinking of?
I don't know, but not him.
It definitely wasn't Trey Benson.
So potential outs is after this year.
Trey Benson was
for James Conner. So he is his cap hit goes.
He's 23. I'm panicking.
His cap hit goes from 6.4 to 10.2 next year. This is James Conner we're talking, and his dead money goes down to 2.5. So they can save $8 million against the cap if they don't want to pay him and have $10 million cap hit for James Conner.
Pretty good odds. $10 million if the cap hit goes up significantly more yesterday would not be any place.
Dude can always redo his contract as well. So we'll see on all that. Trey Benson, I am personally because he didn't look great.
He didn't look great.
And I always thought he kind of had stiff hips. So I don't have a lot of Trey Benson. That he was not my choice guy for running back. He's explosive, he's fast, and he's big. So there is a world where he could turn this thing around this year. We've seen it before. So I'm not completely panicked with him.
I got to change my perspective about this too, by the way. It shows patience or panic. Obviously, a lot of these players are like, oh, you got to show patience. There's no value.
Yeah.
I got to look at this from like, it's basically, do you believe or do you not believe there's value there in the future?
Indeed.
I think it's a better way to say it. And we got to view this as be patient for the values is going to come. We think the value is going to come. Like I do think value is going to come for Travis Etienne, or panic because like no value is going to come.
Right. If he stinks, there's no value.
So if I had to look at the value, if I had to look at a scale, which way I would lean more or another, I would be panicked about Trey Benson.
Yeah, because I just don't believe in the player that much.
See, I've had such a long week, and I drove right into that vacation into this show, so my brain is scrambled. I wasn't looking at this correctly. Yes, I'm panicked about Trey Benson.
So you are panicked about Trey Benson. I am panicked about Trey Benson, and it really, I mean, it just boils down to like you said, we haven't seen a ton in the NFL. I liked but didn't love his tape and thought he had some stiff hips, and then I didn't like what I did see in the NFL. So I just think the ageless wonder that is James Conner is probably just going to do this thing over again, and Trey Benson might just be relegated to a back that just Zamir whited his way through his first contract, and just is just underwhelming.
I'm looking at it all wrong, baby, because like. You're right. They invested a third-round pick in him. He didn't look good last year in his opportunities, even though he was banged up. But to the point where, like, they did invest a third-round pick in him. They saw him throughout everything. They're like, you know what? We're just going to go ahead and go and extend James Conner.
Yeah, we're just going to let this thing. We're going to let this old guy do it again.
I'm panicked.
So that's me on Trey Benson. That's you on Trey Benson. Let's move on to the next guy on here, Tua Tagovailoa. Thank you. Quarterback 22. According to last year's rankings or whatever stats, he's quarterback 13 overall in our ranks and quarterback 24 as far as ADP. So this is a yo-yo as far as what we got going on with the values, right?
Yeah.
So how do you see Tua? Patience, panic. I personally see Tua. This is the guy that I invented the third category for, even though we've used it already.
Yeah.
This is a guy that I'm really pussyfooting around about because I can see both sides of this thing. There's a part of me that wants to, and I have Tua in Superflex. He's my second guy in a couple leagues. There's a part of me that just wants to run away from him. Because every offseason is the exact same story about how this year he's learned to protect himself in the offseason. And then the season comes along and he gets injured again. And, it's a hip injury. It's a head injury. Both the injuries are very serious. Obviously, that hip injury, he significantly injured his hip before he came into the NFL. That was no joke of an injury. And since he's been in the NFL, he's gotten a lot of concussions. And we've seen him go head first trying to get a first down this past season, which was not him protecting himself or learning how to not get injured. So he's a very tricky player because when he's playing, he's very good. He's a very efficient passer. That whole offense clicks and looks much better. So it's very tricky. So if I have Tua, I'm going to do the same thing Miami has done, and I'm going to insulate him. I'm going to
trade for Zach Wilson.
I'm going to insulate him. Well, what they did was go get better options behind him, right? I mean, they got Zach Wilson, they got Quinn Ewers, in the fifth round or whatever, fifth or sixth round or wherever they drafted him. Both players offer more upside than what they had last year as backup options. So I think they did a better job there. And I'm going to follow suit. If I can't, go out and trade for a third guy that I feel really good about, or a fourth guy, he might be a guy like if I have him as my second, I need a really pretty decent third, and then maybe even a fourth. Like I might need just to feel really good about my run, or you go the cheap route. Like, so let's say, and you get Zach Wilson and maybe you draft Quinn Ewers just so you have a player to fill that spot, at least in your starting lineup or as your backup in the meantime when he's injured, because he's going to get injured.
He's going to get in. He gets hurt every single year. And you're right. Like he's such a solid quarterback, that like definitely as a quarterback 2, low end quarterback 1 kind of numbers out there. Love the system, love the offense. For me, I am a little panicked about Tua.
I'm both. That's why I'm pussyfooting around. I'm totally both.
Right to player, kind of loud what I said about Olave. I think with him, though, I have way more patience with making the right move, but he's definitely a player to the point where like, okay, I want to get out from under him. Like I want to decrease this value. And what's good nice about him is I think he's got the number one quarterback. Like he's one over, like when you get quarterback strength of the schedule for fantasy football production, I'm pretty sure he's number one overall.
I don't have that in front of me. I can look it up in a second, but I'm with you. Like I've been waiting for a couple of years for this magical window to open with him that I can offload him because I've been nervous for years. Now I'm just like, I don't know. I'm going to dummy proof this for myself. Like that's where I'm at. You know what I mean? I've had him for so long. I haven't been able to offload him. Anytime any offer I get is a low ball.
Yeah.
And
he's a tough player to move, man.
He's a tough player to move. And that's why it's hard and you don't know what to do. And that's why I'm just going to build things around him. He's going to be there when he's available. And when he's not available, I'm either going to get his backups or I'm going to get somebody else that I know can get the job done.
Yeah, if you have Tua, you have to insulate them. You got to go out there and get like, Geno, Darnold, Stafford, some of those, anybody that just in case they go down, you can slide them in there. And you're right. Like, unfortunately, you haven't had that window without getting lowballed. We need
a whole year.
A whole year.
We need a full season.
And I would still, if Tua came out and he finished his quarterback 8 overall, played the whole year, didn't get cussed, didn't hurt himself at all, I would still be the point like, okay, this is now finally I have an opportunity to move. I am moving him, like if I can.
Me too.
So for me, I am panicked because I am trying, like anybody who I'm trying to get off my roster, it means I'm panicked about him.
Right.
So like,
I know, but
Olave, I'm trying to get him off my roster.
I'm panicked, but I need to be patient. This is another guy that I'm panicked and I want him off my roster, but now is not the time.
I think he falls in just like Olave. Like almost like everything we said about Olave falls with Tua. Like, hey, if there's a right opportunity to move him, move him. Don't give him away. Solid player when he plays. I think quarterback's a little bit safer.
And it's a little different in that you can find value in their back. Like, I'm not going to go searching for Olave's backup and throw him on my roster. But at the quarterback position in Superflex, you can do that. You can grab
for nothing.
Yeah, you can grab a backup for almost nothing, and then all of a sudden you've got a guy that's at least startable for a week or two. You don't want that to be your long-term answer or anything like that, but it's like a safety net type of guy.
To the point of like, okay, yeah, right. If like, Olave's backup receiver goes in, you're not putting him in your lineup.
Right.
If Quinn Ewers or Zach Wilson's the starting quarterback for the Dolphins, you're probably going to put him in your lineup because you want the points.
Yep.
So I agree 100%. All right, before we go on, I got to tell you about our friends over at myffpc.com. You guys got to go check these guys out and get yourself into a secure Dynasty league. Whether it be a $75 league or a $2,200 league, they've got the money for you. They've got the format for you. They are the safest place you can play Dynasty. A league is never folded over at myffpc.com. And listen, I know a lot of you out there are hungry to get in more leagues, right? Like, hey, man, I see it over Twitter all the time. Hey, you got any leagues open up, man? Let me know. Hey, you got any leagues open up? Let me know. Like, it's there. Yeah, it's myffpc.com. It's there for you. There are leagues open up that you can feel secure with, right? And you can get out whenever you want. Now, you pay a year ahead because, leagues don't fold because they do it right. They make sure, hey, you pay a year ahead. If your team sells, they'll try and sell your team for face value. If it sells for face value, you can get rid of it. You can sell your team for more on myffpc.com. This is what nobody talks about as well. You can go in there, draft a powerhouse, right? Draft a powerhouse year one, win all the money, and then sell your team on myffpc.com. Say your team's a $100 buy-in league. I've seen teams sell their teams for $250.
Yeah.
Because like, wow, this team's for sure going to win. I'm going to make my money back
right away. This team is primed.
And the opposite is like, you can go there, like orphan season is done now, but like in off season, you may be able to get a team, it's $1,000 league, but you can get it for $500 because the team needs completely rebuild. But like, you're like, you know what, man, I got a lot of draft capital. I've been really good at rebuilding teams over the years in my Dynasty leagues. I'm going to get this discount on it. I'm going to build it back up.
I'm up for the challenge.
Yep. So when I say they have everything that you want, whether it be a startup, orphans down the road, they are going to be able to fulfill your Dynasty needs. And if you use the promo code NERDS, they're going to give you $25 off, and it's going to help you in any league you want. I know 2,000, you're getting 1% off, whatever it is. I get it. But you're also letting them know, hey, we heard about you at Dynasty Nerds. it's still $25. That's still a Happy Meal at McDonald's. They're gonna get one Happy Meal.
one Happy Meal.
It's unbelievable. Number one toy seller in America. So check them out, myffpc.com. Use the promo code NERDS and find a new Dynasty League that fits your skill set today. And, if you just want to go ahead and scratch, hey, I am in too many Dynasty Leagues, but I still just want to draft.
Draft.
That's all I want to do. Which is me, man. I just like to draft. I like to be like, oh, yeah, I got some value here. I like that. That's my dopamine hit. Like, that's what gets me off. Not the only thing, but, it's one of those things.
Jesus.
Yeah. Hold on. What you needed? I can't finish unless I'm in a draft. You want to do these really weird kinks, stuff like that. Like,
that would be a weird one, Rich.
These people that choke themselves with belts, like the guy from Kung Fu.
I don't. Let's just get this reading down.
Anyways, yeah. So
I can't even look at you right now.
If you want to draft, because it's so fun to draft teams, whether it be redraft teams, best ball teams, dynasty teams, it's all about drafting. And FastDraft gives you the opportunity. You draft a team, within 5 minutes, you can draft the entire team, and then you set it and forget it. And at the end of the year, there's nothing I like to do. I don't even look at the end of the year. I look like every 2 weeks. I'm like, oh, where am I in the standings? Where am I in the standings? Like, ooh, I'm in the money. There goes my quarterback. Here I'm going. Oh, there's my other quarterback. Oh, there goes all my money. FastDraft is going to give you the opportunity to draft a team, use your knowledge against like-minded individuals, and try and win yourself $50,000. You get in there, draft a team, same thing. Quarterback, simple, not as crazy concepts as other places. It's a very simple lineup. Starts out there. Get it out there, draft a team, set it, forget it, and see how much money you win in the end. And you join $5, $10 leagues. It's nothing crazy, right? They're not massive leagues out there. So check them out. Draft it. Download the app, FastDraft app. Use the promo code NERDS. They're going to match your deposit up to $50. On top of that, we're going to give you a free year membership at Dynasty Nerds. That's right. If you deposit $50, they're going to give you another $50. So you're going to free $50.
Got to enter a game. You got to enter one of the contests.
Got to play in a contest. You're going to get a free year membership to Dynasty Nerds. So you get our app, the film room, extra podcasts, all kinds of fun stuff. For simply supporting our sponsors, check them out. FastDraft. Go out there and FastDraft and dominate with your fantasy football knowledge that you gain from Matt O'Hara.
Rich gives you some good stuff too. All right, so getting back to it. Patience, panic, pussyfooting. Breece Hall.
Oh, it's tough.
This one is a tough one, right? Finished as running back 16 last year. He is currently sitting as running back 17 in our ranks, and ADP has him going slightly higher at running back 8 overall.
Which is where the gamble's worth it in my eyes on Breece, because he's that talented. I am not panicked,
okay,
but I am worried.
Okay, I'm with you there.
Worried not, you know what? Worried is not even the right. Maybe even concerned. Slightly concerned.
The only thing I'm slightly concerned about is
it's worry.
It's like its ugly cousin. The only thing I'm slightly concerned about is he right? Is the knee right?
That's it.
Right after the injury, because last year you look at the numbers and obviously he didn't finish that bad. Running back 16, it's not great. They had the lowest amount of rushing attempts last year.
He lived. The reason where he is because of the pass catching.
Right, it's because of the pass catching, but the lowest amount. It was them and then the Bengals. Or the Bengals was the second last, and then the Jets. And you look at obviously the whole regime there got cleared out. Everything's different. They brought people in from Detroit. Detroit had like the third highest amount of rush attempts last year. So I do think this is going to look different this year. So that's another reason I think for optimism surrounding Breece Hall. But we also just don't know how this thing's. There's no ties to anybody. We don't know how this thing's going to flush itself out. I do still think Breece Hall, as long as he's 100% healthy, is by far and away the best back on this roster.
Light years the best back.
So the only question I have left is the knee right? And that's not something we're going to know until we see it. So there is a slight bit of concern in the back of my mind about that, but that's it. That's the only thing.
It's does he have his explosiveness back?
Right.
That's the concern, because it wasn't there last year. And for me, he's such a dynamic player. He's such a talented running back. He he has the skill set to be the running back 1 overall. He's that talented. He's got that good of vision.
He's smooth as silk.
He really is. I've always described him as like a player in Tecmo Bowl who's played 1,000 times. You know where all the defensive players are going to be. That's how he plays. And he's one of my favorite running backs I've ever scouted in the history of doing Dynasty Nerds film tape studies. So I am concerned about that. I know Garrett's big concern is, they're bringing in Justin Fields. Justin Fields doesn't throw the football a ton to the running back, and that's where Breece Hall really thrived. Like I think he was a top 3 targeted running back involved in the passing game amongst all running backs, I think, last year.
That would make sense. That would check out in my brain.
It's good because he's really dynamic in the passing game as well. And what makes me try not to panic too much is, like you said, like
third in targets.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I thought he was top 3. So
Kamara, Etienne, and then him.
Yeah, makes perfect sense too. And all those are too. Kamara's another great value running back. I'd love to be out there and try and trade for.
Totally.
But for Breece, what gives me a little bit of like, okay, I can breathe. I think he's talented. Just give him the touches. He'll be fine. If you move on after this, that's even better. Please move on. Get him off the Jets. Put him somewhere else, please. Yeah. Trade him to Kansas City, and I'll die about a heart attack.
You wouldn't even know what to do with yourself.
Yeah. It's just like, again, Braylon Allen is just, I know he started off, he looked really good those first couple of games, but if you go back, like he wasn't overly efficient. There's not a lot of competition there. This is a team, like Aaron Glenn, he knows what he's got in his hands. Like he's got to go out there and win. He's coming from the Detroit model. They know how to do it. It all starts like, do they have a really nice passing weapons? They do, but that all starts with the run game. It all does.
100%.
So
I think you need to make it as simple as possible for Justin Fields. You need to run the crap out of the ball.
Yeah, and I hope they change Justin Fields. They do a lot of like RPOs, right? A lot of him rolling out, getting it, then flicking it to Breece Hall and using him still in the passing game like they did. Because at the same time, there's not a lot of weapons out there, right? Like, they're going to use Malachi Corley in that role. No, you're going to use Breece Hall.
As long as Malachi Corley makes the team, I mean.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like
you got Garrett Wilson and pretty much no one else out
Garrett
there.
Wilson and Mason Taylor, who's a rookie tight end, like
coming off injuries. So like Mason Taylor's not gonna be the guy too. Garrett Wilson to be flushed with targets, and I'm so mad because I got my first Garrett Wilson share this off. I didn't even get I got him this off season, right? Put it out on Twitter. I finally got my first Garrett Wilson share. I traded him this week.
I was gonna say, and then
I got an offer I couldn't refuse. I didn't. You
can always say no, Rich.
I could. Here, tell me if I know this is crazy. I just thought about it because I was thinking about Garrett Wilson and how upset I was that I worked so hard to get my first share and I get him away. So it's a super flex league. You're in the league. It's our super flex league.
Oh, you made a trade in that league?
Yeah, I got Sam Darnold. So I had no quarterback too. I was starting Mario and Hampton as my quarterback.
I think I did see this.
Yeah. But then I got Sam Darnold. Yeah. Jaylen Waddle, Jaylen Wright, and you know how much I like Jaylen Wright.
I do.
That was that's
when you came after him hot and heavy with a 2028 second round draft pick.
And I got Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
So Golden,
I saw that. That was
Waddle, or Darnold, Waddle, Hunter, and Wright for a 27 first, Garrett Wilson, and Golden.
Yeah.
So
you unloaded him pretty quick. Yeah, you're right.
It kind of sucks, but yeah. So
you have a lot of good young players, and you got a quarterback there, so it's hard to argue.
And I like getting Travis Hunter to pair up by Ty McMillan. So with Breece, like there's a really good opportunity to resecure his where he was, which at one point I had him as my dynasty running back 1 after his rookie year.
Yeah,
like that's how much
no doubt.
So he definitely leans more towards patience, but man, like I am just kind of going back like last year, like he just didn't look as great.
Yeah,
but sometimes players take a year to fully recover.
I mean, Javonte Williams is another guy, same timeline, and said finally this year he finally feels explosive again. So hopefully that's the same for Breece, and this is just kind of his year to take off.
And I think with the chatter about him and Aussie, like, they might do a dual share. Does he get traded? Does he not? I think he's got to be like, okay, I got to trust my knee.
Yep.
I have to show what I'm worth because I need another contract. And if I play like I did last year, I'm not getting that contract. So more patience than panic, but definitely some worry in the back of my head.
It's the ugly cousin is there.
Got it.
To panic. All right, Jaylen Waddle is the next one. Wide receiver 46 last year in our ranks. He's sitting at wide receiver 55, and ADP has him as wide receiver 31. So for me, Waddle is a guy that I feel like everything. And I mentioned this. I think it was last week or the week before. Everything went wrong that could last year, and it ended in this weird season where he was wide receiver 46 and just very inefficient. So for me, I'm being patient with a player like this. So because I think he's talented. I think
he's very talented.
And I obviously he's tied to Tua, which goes back to a little bit of pussyfooting around. But like I mentioned when we were talking Tua, I think they did a better job getting backups in there that can operate in the NFL. They're not as good as Tua. Or else they'd be starters. I mean, you know what I mean? They're not, in the NFL somewhere. So, I am I'm patient. I'm going to be patient with Jaylen Waddle, and I don't think I need to make it a lot harder than that.
Yeah, I would strongly encourage being patient for Jaylen Waddle. He's somebody I just mentioned that trade. Jaylen Waddle's a part of that trade. That to some people, like I can see a lot of people saying, "Oh, dude, you got Travis Hunter and Jaylen Waddle, and then Darnold and." Right, but then you give up Garrett Wilson and a 27 first.
Right.
Part of that move was because I really am in on Jaylen Waddle. This is a player in his first 2 years was a top 7, or I think it was number 7 both years. I think 1 year maybe it was 8 wide receiver overall.
He has been number 8 before.
Yeah, so 8 and 7. So
no, 13, 8, 34, 46.
He was wide receiver 1 twice in a row.
Maybe I'm reading it wrong.
Maybe I'm wrong. That wouldn't make sense. I thought he was wide receiver 1 back-to-back years, his rookie year and his sophomore year.
He just missed it, 13. So maybe with your weird week 17.
Okay,
stuff.
maybe that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah.
So the big things here's what I'm looking at with Jaylen Waddle. Why I would encourage her to be patient or even a little bit more aggressive with him. When you look at last year, who his other quarterbacks were, it was Tyler Huntley, Tim Boyle, and Skylar Thompson. And that team was just atrocious.
Bad news bears.
This is a player, like year in, year out with Tua. Like he's been targeted heavily. He's seen over 100 targets. Last year, he only saw 84 targets. The big thing with Jaylen Waddle as well is why he was so down last year. He's only scored 2 touchdowns because his offense just wasn't there. They weren't scoring.
Jonnu Smith, he was the offense.
And that was it. So I think this is probably the last year. I can safely say that Tyreek Hill is a Miami Dolphin. So it's a clear path for Jaylen Waddle to reemerge into that number 1 role. Mm-hmm. And I think this year will be the first step back to relevance for Jaylen Waddle. Not saying he's going to be a wide receiver 1, but I think he can live, again, so much down compared to ADP. Like I think Jaylen Waddle is like basically equal to like a T. Higgins. Same thing a DK Metcalf role. But you can get him for so much cheaper right now. So if I get a player that's going to average me hopefully around that 14, 15 points per game, hover around that wide receiver 15, 16, 17 roll range right around there with the upside. Again, I think Waddle offers the upside to be a high-end wide receiver 2, low-end wide receiver 1. I love those kind of players to go out there and go get, right? That failed. And we know the thing is we know why Jaylen Waddle failed last year in the first place. It had nothing to do with Jaylen Waddle. It had to do everything around him, his surroundings, and mostly his quarterback situation. So big-time patience on Jaylen Waddle. I think there's a lot of opportunity there to see some good positive touchdown regression for him and see him get back on the right track to be a startable week-in, week-out Dynasty asset.
I'm with you there. All right, let's move on to the next one. Mark Andrews, tight end 6 overall last year. He's tight end 8 in our rankings and tight end 9 as far as ADP goes. So this one, this one's a weird one for me. How about you? I feel like his days of the wide receiver or like the tight end overall 1 when he was, what was it, 3 years ago?
That was at least 3 years ago, right?
It was 21, so 4 years ago. Those days are gone, right? I think what you need, I think, be patient with him. I don't think there's a reason to panic. He's not like super old or anything like that. He's 29, I think. Yeah, he's 29 years old. I just think he is what he is at this point, especially in this offense.
I think going forward in this offense, he's going to do where he was on a points per game basis, wide receiver 8. I think the team really is all in, and I think I agree with him on Isaiah Likely.
Yeah.
I think he's the future starter. I would be surprised if Mark Andrews. No, not surprised because I think Baltimore's obviously going to go win a Super Bowl, so they'll probably keep him. I said if you got traded at the deadline, it wouldn't surprise me. I would be really surprised if Mark Andrews is a Baltimore Raven in 2026. I think Isaiah Likely is the future there. I think there's a good chance they get rid of Mark Andrews and extend Isaiah Likely. But I think he's a very talented tight end. I just think at this point in the situation he's in, he's closer to that wide receiver 8 range. So I'm not panicked if I feel like
he's a reliable guy. He's going to get you double digits.
Yes, with the upside, of course.
Right, with upside. And if he gets out of this offense that's more pass proficient, I think, or like more pass heavy, I think he could be more. Yeah. But I think in this offense, he is what he is. So I would just be patient. Like you said, if he gets out from Baltimore for whatever reason, I think he could end up being a guy that's a difference maker at the position. Yeah. So I would definitely be patient with Mark Andrews.
He's turning 30, I believe. So
he's 29. He'll be 30.
So yeah, so we turn 30. Mm-hmm. Plenty of left. We've seen players play for another 3 years on this deal. So I think I'm saying definitely be patient because I'm really excited to see, like, okay, like you mentioned, does he find himself in another offense?
Does he find his way to Tampa Bay and he's reunited with Baker Mayfield? Yeah, going back to their Oklahoma days. You know what I mean? Like something like that where dude's looking for him. You know, something like that. Where he's less of a hey, let's get you bogged down blocking all the time and more like let's get you involved in the passing game. You know what I mean? Because we've seen him do it. He had like 1,300 yards in 2021. Like he could be a number one guy in an offense and be all right.
Yeah, I'm patient with where he is. Yeah. He's just no longer in that top tier tight ends, and that's fine.
Yep.
You know,
totally.
If he reemerged, I wouldn't be shocked. It's Mark Andrews. He's a very talented tight end, but like I think he's now moved closer into that third tier, and it's just a big tier, and it's totally fine. So like, I'm not moving on because I'm still. If I have Mark Andrews, I feel comfortable with him. Put him in my lineup week in, week out.
Every week, you feel fine with that. And that's, you can't say that about a lot of guys.
Correct.
And also have like the double digit upside. I feel like the closest other guy is like Hunter Henry, but he's like more like 9 points a game. Where you feel like you're going to get like 10, 11 points out of Mark Andrews, which is just a better feeling.
I think a guy that's really close to him, same age range, same situation, probably won't be on their team next year, is Dallas Goedert.
Okay.
You know, got really talented tight end. Just would like to see him somewhere else as well.
Sure. All right. So last guy on the list, Jayden Reed, finished as wide receiver 29 last year. Obviously, in the PPR ranks, he's wide receiver 42 and ADP, wide receiver 42. So obviously the big news is they went out and drafted a guy in the first round, right? How do we feel about that?
Yeah, panicked. A player I was all in, gave him a first for him. Mm-hmm. Didn't work out, obviously. After week 1 last year, we saw like this was a good opportunity. This is a team, though. Listen, at the same time, like, panicked. No.
Yeah, this one, he's tough.
I'm going to be patient because
I think Golden, listen, because you seem verklempt. I'm feeling very verklempt. Matthew Golden, to me, is more of an indictment of Christian Watson and his ability to stay healthy.
And he seems to be ahead of schedule, by the way.
He does. But I think you don't go out and make that move for that guy with that kind of speed when you have a bigger, faster, bigger, just as fast guy that was also able to do that but just never stayed healthy. So I think that is kind of like the one for one there. Jayden Reed, I think, can operate on the field along with Marcus Golden, and both those guys can be happy. Yep. So I'm not sure I'm like fully panicked. I'm more worried about the drops that Jayden Reed was showing last year, which was kind of out of character and abnormal. So I'm not as worried about Golden because I think that'll work itself out. And really, I think those two guys are the best two options there. Dobbs is a fine player.
But he's a fine player.
But he's just a fine player. You know what I mean? Like Watson's a fine player. He's just a fine player. They're both, but Golden and Jayden Reed, I think, have the opportunity to be difference makers, and so I'm gonna preach patience with a guy like Jayden Reed, while everyone else is freaking out about the fact that they just got a first round quarterback. I think this offense specifically
receiver.
What did I say?
Quarterback,
first round receiver. Thank you. This offense, it throws the ball enough that you can have two guys that are very highly valued.
So, two sides of the scale I'm looking at. My concern is, yes, they throw the football a ton, but last year, if you look at the numbers, And again, I'm not trying to. The other side, so the one side of the scale is Jordan Love was hurt last year. He played from like week 8 on with like a knee sprain or something along those lines.
Played at the beginning of the year with the very first game. Do you remember on that goofy field?
Oh yeah. So he was hurt all last year, which again, I'm still all in on Jordan Love, 100%. Like still in. The fact though is like the offense last year, they really spread the ball around a lot. They only threw the receivers 48% of the time. They really got their tight ends involved. Luke Musgrave would be fully healthy as well. They saw about 20% target share, 48% to the receivers. Now, where could it change or could it not change is like Josh Jacobs saw 15%. Was that because Jordan Love wanted to keep it short and sweep? Josh Jacobs is very valuable in the passing game. So doing the math, 48 plus 20, 68 plus the 15, 78, about 83. Obviously, with some of the other running backs in positions, it can go up in the receiver. They called Drew Rosenhaus and said, hey, even though we took Matthew Golden the first, Jayden Reed's still our guy, right? Yeah. Again, I could just be calm in the waters. Not a big deal. Doesn't mean a lot to me at this point. But, like, for how much of a gadget player he is, like, that does give me what gets me excited about the patient side is, okay, let me see a fully healthy Jayden Reed. Let me see him in his third year in this offense, fully knows this offense in and out now by the back of his hand. Matthew Golden does not worry me to the point of, like, it doesn't worry my Jayden Reed shares at all, right? Like, Christian Watson obviously doesn't worry me. To me, like, are they going to utilize Jayden Reed as the first read? That's my concern.
And I think the answer is sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think that's always going to be the answer there, though. I don't think there's ever going to be a time when it's like this game is Jayden Reed's game. He's going to be the number one guy on 70% of the looks.
He's got to be your wide receiver 3.
Yeah, I agree.
So I mean, I have one league. He's my wide receiver 4, and I feel really good about that.
Yeah, I think that's where we're at with him. And now, but if something changes, if Dobbs finds his way to another team, you know what I mean? Like, these other guys are kind of feeling like they're falling to the wayside a little bit.
They definitely have enough depth there that I can see them moving a receiver.
Like Watson, Dobbs.
Wicks or Dobbs.
Like Wicks, one of those guys. One of these guys they're just going to kind of fade away, and that will help solidify things for Jayden Reed and for Matthew Golden, who I think they all see as they're kind of 1 and 2.
Yeah, I mean, he showed, like, again, week 1 last year when he exploded on the people, like, what was it, 30 points, something along those lines. Like, it's the talent
shows his upside.
The talent's there. So I'm definitely I think I'm gonna have patience with Jayden Reed because I still like the player. I love him with the football in his hands. He's super dynamic. I'm gonna be patient with Jayden Reed, but like I'm not overly optimistic.
I mean, me neither. So overall, we kind of have we ran the gamut here because I threw in a third category. I feel, there's 8 guys. I feel like there were 2 or 3 patients, 2 or 3 pussyfoot or whatchamacallits, and then there was 2 pussyfoots. So it was a little bit of everything on this show. And the pussyfoot ones we explained. I feel like we did a pretty good job of explaining why we're waffling back and forth. And ultimately, you want to be patient with those guys unless the whale comes around, right?
Yeah, and those are all good. I think Garrett did a really good job of nailing some good players in there. Definitely like that we were talking, even going into from our last show. So, yeah, we'll be back next week with some more Dynasty talk. I think Garrett will be back next week. And tune into the Nerd Show on Thursday.
All right. Adios.